Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss with you the file handling concept. Before I discuss with you the file handling concept, like how to read a file, how to write a file, let me discuss with you what is a file, what is a file class. Okay, let's see the definition first. In order to access the file class, we have to import a package called java.io. Okay, so this file class resides in java.io package. We have to import that first in order to use it. As it is written here, almost all the classes defined in java.io package, which are actually the streams to read the file, write the file, or doing the similar process, uh, they work on actually the streams, but the file class does not work on the stream. Okay, I'll let you know later on what is a stream. So by now you can just assume that stream is just the bits of data which you with which you can read the file, or with which you can write a file. So stream is just the bits of data or bits of information. Okay, we'll talk that in detail later on. File class directly deals with the files and the file system, as you can see in the definition. It does not specify how the information is retrieved or stored inside the files. Means it is just used to access the properties of the file. Like for example, what is the length of the file? Is the file readable? Is the file writable? Is the file does the file exist or not? Or what is the path of the file, and so on. Means just the properties of the file. Okay, so let's see some of the methods which are inside the file. There are many methods. I'm just going to discuss with you just few of the methods. The rest you can try by yourself. Before I talk about the methods inside the file class, you need to know how to create the object of the file. Only then I'll be able to access the methods inside the file, right? So I'm going to talk about three constructors here which you can use. First is this constructor, where it says that you can give me the directory path. Example, this. Have a look at this line. File f1 is equal to new file, and you give a string where your file is located. So let's say my file is located in C drive and the name of the file is autoexe.bat. Okay, or you can use the second constructor to make a file object, like in which contains two arguments. The first argument says that give me the directory path in the first argument and give me the file name in the second argument. Example is this one, the second one. File f2 is equal to new file, where I'm specifying two arguments. This is the first argument where I'm giving the directory path, comma, and this is the second argument where I'm giving the file name. Okay, so I'm dissociating the first example into this one. Okay, there also exists a third constructor, which is this one, which says that okay, in the first argument you can give me the file object which contains the directory, and the second argument you can give me the file name. So example is this, these two lines. So in the first line what I'm doing is file f3 is equal to new file, where I'm just mentioning the directory path. It is inside f3, and this f3 is provided in the second syntax. File f4 is equal to new file, I'm providing f3 here. Okay, means the directory indirectly, comma, the second argument I'm passing is the name of the file. So any of the constructor which you feel is suitable for you, you can use it. Okay, now let's see some of the methods associated with a file object. So have a look at the first line. Let's say I want to read a file which is located in this particular directory, and the file name is abc.txt. Let's assume that the file may or may not exist actually. Okay, so I'll let you know how to tackle with this thing. So first of all, I'm using the very first constructor which I discussed in the previous slide, that you can use a full string to give the directory as well as the file name. So let's see some of the methods here. first method is get name. By default it fetches the string mentioned in the last slash, after the last slash. Okay, so after the last slash the string mentioned is abc.txt, so this will print abc.txt as the name. Okay, so instead of this, assume that if you have given a path like C users HP desktop, okay, so this get name would have given you the answer desktop, because this is the last string after the slash, the string after the last slash. Okay, then it would have given you the desktop. Next method is get path. Get path will give you whatever you have mentioned here in the form of string, so the whole thing will be printed. Okay, so it will print C slash user slash sp slash desktop slash abc.txt. It will not check that this particular path exists or not. Remember this point. Okay, so it is not this, these two methods are not checking at the background whether the file exists or not. Okay, they are just fetching the information whatever you have mentioned here in the form of a string, right? Then the next method is absolute. So it is just used to check whether the path I have mentioned here, is it the absolute path or not. Absolute means starting from the root directory. Have I mentioned the path starting from the root directory till a particular point? So it is just going to say yes or no. So in my case it is going to say yes, because I have mentioned the path by starting from the root directory. It could be C directory, D directory, or any directory. Okay, next method is get absolute path. Now this method is actually used to fetch the absolute path. Absolute means full path. So assume that in my case, in this example, it is going to give this full answer because I've already mentioned the absolute path starting from the root directory. But let's say that you have mentioned just this thing, like hp slash desktop slash abc.txt, means you have not mentioned the full path here. Okay, in that case this particular method get absolute path will append, actually prepend the default path before this particular string. Okay, so if I'm currently standing at, if I'm executing this particular program by standing in the directories C slash let's say uh, temp folder, okay, right, temp folder, I'm executing this I'm right now, let's say right now I'm standing in this particular directory in the command prompt and I'm running this file, assume that. So get absolute path will actually prepend this particular thing at the beginning of this HP desktop ABC, and it'll print the full path. Okay, I'll show this thing in the demonstration part also. Now the next method is exists method. I want to know that the path which I have mentioned here actually exists or not. Okay, so this will return me true or false, right? Then the next method is, can I read the file, can I write the file? Using the method I can check using the method can read or can write. If the file is read protected, then it will say false. If the file is write protected, then again it will say false. Otherwise both of these methods are going to return true. Remember, if the file exists, only then it will return true in both the cases, or true or false depending upon the condition. If the file does not exist, these two methods will definitely return you the false. Okay, now the next method is to check, is it a file or is it a directory? Means the string which I have mentioned here, is this string, the thing which I have mentioned here, is it a file or is it a directory? One of these two things is going to be true. In my case, if the file exists, like abc.txt exists, so it will say yes it is a file, no it is not a directory. So it will return true, his file will return true and his directory will return false, or vice versa. Okay, means I could have if I had given it like this, C users HP desktop, in that case it was not a file. Okay, then it was a directory. Okay, but remember that if the file, if the path which I have mentioned here does not exist, then both of these methods, is file and is directory, are going to return you false. Okay, otherwise one of these two methods is going to return you true if the path actually exists. The next method is last modified. Last modified will give you the uh, time when the file or the directory was last modified by you. Okay, so you might have seen in the properties of the file that uh, by right clicking go to the properties, and you might have seen there the name of the file is this, location of the file is this, the file was created at this time, and so on. So this last modify, there is also a property called last modified, and this is what it tells. But this last modified will give you the value in terms of milliseconds. I'll tell you in the demonstration how the output is going to be. Okay, next method is length. It'll give you what is the length of the file in the terms of bytes. So this is simple, right? And after that, the next method is delete. You can delete a file also, but see, I have commented this line so that this is actually a very dangerous line, f.delete, because if you execute this line and if you are trying to read a file or check the properties of a file and mistakenly you executed this thing f.delete, okay, then this file will be removed from the computer. It will not go to the recycle bin, it will be permanently erased. So that's why I have commented this line, because if I'm working with a temporary file, only then I'll execute it, otherwise I will not execute it. But just to let you know, if you want to delete a file, you can execute this command f.delete. okay, then the last method is how to rename a file. Okay, there's a method called rename to, and remember that you cannot just provide the name of the new name of the file in the terms of a string. You have to create a new file object just like this and provide it to the rename to method, because the rename to method says that okay, I don't want a string, actually I want a new file object which contains the new name. Okay, actually I believe that the syntax is why it is not just accepting a string and why it is accepting a full file object, because the thing might be going at the background is like it is creating a new, this method rename to is creating a new file at the background and copying the contents of the existing file and then deleting the original file. So this is how it might be renaming. Okay, um, I believe so, because you can, while renaming, you can also try to change the destination directory also, and as well as the file name also. So this particular thing made me believe that this is the process which actually is going at the background. So it is creating a new file, copying the contents of the previous file into the new file and deleting the old file. This made me believe this particular thing. Okay, so remember that you cannot just provide a string, you have to provide a new file object with the new directory as well as the file name. Okay, let's see the demonstration. First of all, I'm going to create a file I've already made the code for you, the thing which I've shown you previously. So first create the file object just like this, but this file class actually resides in IO package, so don't forget to import it, java.io.star or java.io.file class, only then you're able to use it. And let's first of all see if I provide some directory which does not exist, or the file which does not exist, and you can also see I'm not providing the full path also. Okay, let's try to run this file. There are 2 or 3 methods which I have not discussed with you previously, like what is the parent. If you want to know what is the parent, then it will give you this answer. Okay, so whatever is this will treat it as a file name or the directory name. Okay, and the rest, the previous string, it will treat it as a parent. Okay, and one more thing I have written here is hidden. If I want to check if this particular thing exists, is it hidden or not. Okay, so let's see this. Let's execute this file, this application, and see what's the answer. File exists false. Definitely I have provided the thing which does not exist. Name is links.txt. See, as I told you, the string which is mentioned after the last slash will be treated as their name, and after that the parent is desktop. See what I told you, before the last slash whatever you have mentioned is will be treated as the parent. Okay, so desktop is treated as a parent here. Okay, absolute path. Okay, get absolute path. See what it returns to me. This thing has been appended at the front, as I told you. This thing has been appended at the front. So right now I'm working in Eclipse, and the current folder of Eclipse in which I'm working is c/user/hp/workspace/desktop. This is the current directory in which I'm working right now. Okay, so this is appended at the front of this one, and hence it made the absolute path this one. I hope now you get it, what the get absolute path will make this particular syntax. Okay, so if you're not mentioning the full path, so it will automatically append its root folder. Okay, after that get path, if I say f dot get path, it will return me whatever I mentioned here. Okay, see this. So is the file readable, is the file writable? I can check it using can read, can write. So actually the file or the directory does not exist, that's why both of them are false. What is the length? It's 0 because the file does not exist or the directory does not exist. Further, what's the answer? Last modified, again that's 0 because the file does not exist. And is it a file or is it a directory? Both of them are false because the file does not or the directory does not exist. And the last is hidden. Okay, so is hidden, I have this is false as well. This is false as well, right? Because the file does not exist or the directory does not exist. Now let's try to read an actual file which exists at the background. So I have created a folder in which I have a file called demo. I have written some contents inside it just for the demonstration, like this is a demo file. Okay, so I want to provide its path. So what I do is right click this, properties, and see the location. I just copy this location, Control C, okay, and just use it here inside the string, paste. Now first of all, I did not mention earlier, this is giving you error because while mentioning the path in the string, you have to mention the forward slashes, forward slash. Okay, or you there is another method, or you can use double backward slash. So you can use any of these, double backward slash or one forward slash. So remember this fact. Okay, and this is just the directory what I have mentioned. So let me just, I'm not comfortable with this, so I will go for the forward slash, forward slash, forward slash, and this is just the directory. I have not mentioned the file. File name is demo.txt. okay. Okay, so I have saved it. Now let's try to find out what these methods will return to me. Execute this program and let's see this. File exists, true. Name is demo.txt. Parent is this. You see that? Parent is this. Absolute path is this. Now if you have provided the absolute path, it is picking up. The absolute path is this one because you've already mentioned it. The path mentioned is this. mention path and absolute path are both same this time because I mentioned it. It is readable, it is writable, the length is 20 bytes. Okay, and last modified is this. Okay, this is the milliseconds. This is giving you the time in milliseconds. Actually it would have shown me something like this. So let's see this. If I just open the properties, it would have shown me something like this, like 27 March 2020 and this time. You have modified the file at this particular point. So let's see how to get it. This is providing the time in milliseconds. Okay, because this milliseconds is not suitable for us. So I know one particular class called date. In the date class constructor, if you provide this particular value, it will format it into what we actually want. So I'm creating the object new date and providing this f dot modified as a value right here. Okay, but wait a second, it is giving me an error here. You have not imported the date class. Okay, so import it. So it actually resides in util package. Okay, so import that also. Import java.util.start. Okay, now you'll get the actual answer here. So see, now we got the actual answer. Friday 27 March, and this was, so this is what we were talking about. Okay, Friday 27 March 2020, and this was the time, right? So this is how you're going to use this last modified. So I have made the object here and printed the object right in this, right in the print statement. Okay, and the last methods, is it a file? Yeah, it is a file. It is not a directory and it is also not hidden. Okay, so that's about the introduction about the file class. Now before leaving, remember that file class is just used to check the properties of a file. It is not used to read the file or write the file. Okay, so, and yeah, one more thing I forgot to execute to rename the file. So let's activate these lines and see. I've already told you the syntax, so I'm going to rename it to demo2.txt. So earlier my file is demo.txt, so when I run this one, so let's try to see what happens. Okay, so this line got executed. Let's see at the background. See, demo2.txt. So file got renamed. Okay, so you have to provide the new file in the form of you have to provide the path in the form of a file object and then provide it to it. You can always change the designation, as I already told you.